What's up, chat? I just came home and it was so freaking cold outside. So today, I wanted to yap about one of my favorite aspects of Gege's writing in JJK. Um, it's one of my favorites because I guess the reason why it works for me is because I'm a YouTuber and I have to reread a whole bunch of stuff for certain videos, yada yada. You know, if you guys watch my yap videos, you can see that I have JJK memorized, right? Almost memorized completely, right? So I read into things. I understand certain things of what Gege was trying to write. I'm not gonna say I know everything Gege was trying to write, but the best thing for me specifically, as someone who actually like reads the story in depth, the best thing is how Gege shows sometimes and he tells sometimes. I don't think this video. I'm trying to remember. Okay, what's this? This is tell. This is just miscellaneous, I guess. This is uh this is tell. This is tell, and then this is what is this? This is tell. So they're all tell. There's some show. There's some like Oh no, not tell actually. No. It's show. That's what I meant. Yeah, it's show. My fault, chat. Basically, you guys know the saying show not tell or tell not show, whatever. Gege likes to show, right, rather than just explaining everything to you, right? If this was Hunter would probably explain basically everything, but Gege isn't that type of writer, right? And all of these examples, all of these things that I'm gonna go over today is just gonna be a lot of shows, right? Gege's not gonna tell you directly that what's going on is going on. You know what I mean? So you have to read into the story. You have to understand different how the story works, how the series power system works, or how characters go about certain things. What is this guy? Oh, I'm sorry, bro. I'm hearing my brother tweaking out in the other room. I'll be back. Anyways, as I was saying, yeah, you have to understand how the series works, how people work inside the series, inside the story, to understand certain things that Gege puts into it, right? And binding vows is like the biggest example of it. I love binding vows, bro. Everybody hates them, but me personally, I love them because you could like the only thing that you could say about binding vows is that the equivalent exchange doesn't add up sometimes. I'll have to actually look into that. I'm gonna make a video on that on my main channel. I've been saying that for a minute. I've had the thumbnail for. Hold on, I gotta do this. Hold on, I've had the thumbnail for this video. It's not a crazy thumbnail. I made the thumbnail for this video how long ago? Let's see. Bro, it was so long ago that I didn't even have it in my album. Where is it? Oh, I am not finding this, chat. What? How did I really made the thumbnail and I never put it into my album. It's actually gone. Like I'm not gonna find it. Well, that's whatever. So no, that actually just annoyed me. I think it was around the time when I made the Oh, I found it. Oh gosh, I have to put this into my Let me put this into my album. Why is there two of them? I made this thumbnail in September 22nd, so that was like 3 months ago, maybe, or 2 months, 2 months ago. So yeah, yeah. As I was saying, oh wow. So I'm just looking at this. Anyways, what was I saying? Yeah, binding vows is the biggest example of this, and it's my favorite thing that Gege does. I love it. Other people don't like it. Equivalent exchange, yada yada. Okay, so we're just gonna go over some examples that I thought of off the top of my head. These are my favorite examples. They're just the first ones that popped up in my head, right? The first show not tell is this. I would even say this is like show not tell. I'm not even gonna lie. It's both show and tell. No, it's both. It's okay. Gege tells you something, but you have to actually like think about what he's saying because he's not explaining it completely, right? So during the second domain clash of Gojo versus Sukuna, uh, Gojo switches the external and internal barrier conditions, right? Damn, I should have opened this up. Actually, is this a good? Nah, I'll open it up. So, last time they had a domain clash, right? Their sure hits canceled out inside, but Sukuna's open domain expansion had slashes outside of the barrier, and so it slashed up Gojo's closed barrier, right? And so going into the second domain clash, Gojo made it so that outside of the barrier was stronger than the inside of the barrier, right? So that he can withstand more slashes from Sukuna. People would not people. Gojo did expect Sukuna to try and like slash it from the inside instead, but Sukuna instead did a binding vow. And let's read out what it said. Using a binding vow, Sukuna managed to further increase the power of his domain outside Gojo's domain by removing his sure hit guaranteed inside the domain, while simultaneously keeping himself safe from infinite void by touching Gojo Satoru directly. Once again, Gojo Satoru's domain collapses because he breaks it, right? And so people didn't understand what he did here, right? I understand it because, you know, I've reread it multiple times and I'm like, what did he actually do here? I've explained it on this channel before, but I don't think I haven't drawn it out, so I drew it out here. All right. So again, should I draw another one as well? Let's draw another one. Big circle, smaller circle, and then we have. All right. So looking at this one right here, right? The red represents Sukuna, the blue represents Gojo. The first domain clash that they have, this one right here, Gojo, yeah, Gojo's barrier is right here, the circle, and then Sukuna's barrier is outside of Gojo's barrier, but within it, they're clashing, right? You can see that. Let's put purple to combine red and blue, right? So they're canceling each other out right here. But outside of it, Gojo's sure hit can't get outside of his barrier, right? So Sukuna's sure hit is attacking the outside of Gojo's barrier. Right? That's what happens here, and then it breaks, and then Sukuna takes domain, right? Now, the second time, Gojo makes the outside harder, right? So what Sukuna does is take out the sure hit. You see, there's no purple here. There's no red going over here. No, there's no red. He takes out the sure hit within Gojo's domain, right? He takes out the sure hit. There's no purple. It's literally just Gojo's sure hit in here, right? And he makes it so that outside of the barrier only has the sure hit. Outside of the barrier is the only ones that have the sure hit. And so it's just constantly attacking Gojo's barrier. I opened this one up to put like a illustration, right, of what's going on. You see what's going on here? A lot of slashes. Slash. That's basically what's going on. Obviously, the size isn't the same because this is another domain clash. But just imagine a bigger barrier and then Sukuna's just slashing. So essentially what Sukuna did was turn his circle domain, right? This one right here. He turned his circle domain into a donut. He turned his circle domain into a donut. Right? And so obviously, this is a terrible domain expansion. I mean, guys, look at this. If can we zoom in? Whatever. Sukuna's right here, right? Let's say this is Sukuna. Right? And he's shooting this domain expansion. This is Sukuna. He shot this domain expansion. Bro, this is literally everyone else. If he used this specific domain expansion in any other scenario, this is everyone else going against it. They're just standing there and they're not getting hit with the sure hit. This is a terrible domain. So obviously, the slashes from here would be stronger than any of the slashes coming from here. That's the binding vow. Right? Gege isn't about to say... Gege isn't about to, like, make a whole freaking explanation. Sukuna made a binding vow to make sure that the slashes are stronger than a regular domain expansion because it's a donut, and in regular situations, this would be a terrible domain expansion, so that's the equivalent exchange. Like, no. You're supposed to understand it yourself. This makes sense, right? I don't think it's obvious. I won't say it's obvious, but the explanation is there. What actually gets me pissed off is people saying that there's no explanation and it doesn't make sense without even trying to think about it. That's where the line is crossed. But, you know, before that, I mean, just think about it, right? This is a terrible domain expansion. So obviously it would be stronger, and that's how he breaks the domain expansion from the outside. So that's my go-to when it comes to, like, tell not show or something like. It's not tell, show not tell, whatever. All right, Gege isn't about to freaking spoon feed everyone. Okay, he draws what he does, and you're supposed to understand. All right, let's get to the next example. Next example. This isn't an example of what I'm saying, but I just wanted to add this into the video because I saw someone comment this on one of my latest yaps, and they said that Todo's binding vow here makes no sense. Or no, it's not the make no sense. No. If it was just that, I wouldn't care. They said that Todo's binding vow was a plot hole. That's what got me pissed off. Not pissed off, but, you know, got me like, okay, I have to explain this. All right. So, I'm not gonna lie. I saw the comment. I was like, oh, I never even thought about that. But all I had to do was literally read the story again, because I never really entered this chapter when I'm rereading stuff. Like, what would I even use this for? Sukuna's completely nerfed. Like, you know, I never really reread this chapter, but I had to reread it for the Todo video that I literally dropped yesterday, right? But yeah, so all I had to do was literally just read the damn chapter, and I would have found out what the actual exchange was, right? So we find out that Todo has a Vibra Slap instead of a hand now, and now he just hits the Vibra Slap, and every single vibration from it is a clap, right? And it tells us that in this way he can swap approximately 50 times in 1 second. So 1 second just passed, he just swapped 50 times. Literally, that's OP, right? That's super OP. That wasn't a binding vow, though. All right, that wasn't a binding vow. He just replaced the condition. All right, the binding vow he actually made was this. He imposed a binding vow on himself that limits the number of times he can swap based on the number of clangs, number of vibrations, thus successfully expanding the chosen number of cursed unique targets and the effective range. Right? Yeah, this doesn't really matter, but over here, this is the binding vow he made. I'll explain it in better terms. This was an actual like example of Gege telling us and spoon feeding us, and even then, even when Gege spoon feeds us the information, people are still saying it's a plot hole. It's ridiculous. But Todo can basically, again, it says it right here, he can swap 50 times per second. He made a binding vow to make it less, right? So now we don't know how much it actually is now, but it's lower than 50 times, right? It used to be 50 times per second, but now it's lower than 50 times per second. That was the negative. The positive is that in return, he gets to swap multiple people at the same time, right? Him, Sukuna, and Yuji, right? And he gets to expand the range. So he was able to swap Yuta when he was doing the assassination on Kinjaku, right? He gave up the amount of times he could swap, which is like very OP. Again, I think everybody can agree that this is very OP, right? 50 times per second, that's literally like you wouldn't be able to actually get used to that. And Sukuna even says the nerf version of it you wouldn't be able to get used to, right? But he took away the insane amount of times you can swap in return for an increased amount of people, increased amount of targets, and the range. We don't even know where Todo is here, but he did it from so far away, Kinjaku doesn't even know he's there. And we didn't even know he was there. You know what I'm saying? So that was the exchange, right? That was an example of the opposite of what I was talking about. Yeah. So, yeah, I just wanted to put that in. It's not a plot hole, so yeah, let's just delete that. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I just did that. What chapter am I looking at? It's 230. We'll come back to it because that's the last example. But this is an example I literally just thought of right before recording because I was like, I only have 1 and 2. These were the 2 examples I had. So I was like, okay, I have to think of another one. So, second example of show and not tell. And it's something that really plagues us. But let's get into it. So, Maki. Oh damn! I should have opened this up as well. That's crazy. This Maki. Right, should I? I'll do it twice. Okay. This Maki. Wait, I thought I opened it up. Where is it? Wait, I deleted it, didn't I? Oh, I freaking deleted it. I accidentally deleted it. That's why. I was confused. I was like, wait, where is the thing that I had open? I freaking deleted it. This Maki, right? This Maki who's like losing to Naoya, got blissed by Naoya, you know? She is completely different to this Maki. Completely. And the reason why she is because after her time with Mio, I think his name is Mio, yeah, Mio. After her time with Mio in the simple domain, she gets rid of her blockage, right? And let's read her dialogue. Without glasses, I was unable to see what others can see, but thanks to Mai, I've gained this body. Now even without glasses, I can see curses too. I was too content because I'm the same as everyone else now. If it's that man, referring to Toji, he would have reached that height. If it's that man, he would have thrown the katana with no hesitation. If it's that man, he would have deflected even at that speed. It's not enough to just be the same as everyone else. There are things that only I can see, things that only he could see, right? Basically, she had no individualism, right? She had none of that. She was too content with being like everyone else. But she's a heavenly restriction user. She's not a freaking sorcerer, right? She's not a sorcerer. She's not a jujutsu sorcerer, right? She's a heavenly restriction user. She doesn't have curse energy. She's not utilizing curse energy, so she's not like them. She's not like the others. She's not like the other humans, right? She had no individualism. She had to become free, right? She had a mental blockage, and she got rid of it during her time with Mio, right? And so through it, she was unable to unlock this precognition. Now just every move is being relayed to me by my surroundings, right? She gets precognition. She can jump through the air now. She dodged in midair. And she can see souls now, so she uses Soul Split Katana in not in the next chapter. No, it is the next chapter, but I'm not about to open that. That's too much work, right? But before it, with the mental blockage, with the lack of individualism, right? She couldn't do any of this. She couldn't fly. She didn't have precognition. She couldn't use soul split katana. She couldn't see souls and stuff like that. But after getting rid of that mental blockage, she was good, right? And mind you, Toji is like her ideal. She keeps referring to Toji. She's like, if it's that man, he could do this. If it's that man, he could do this. Right? And so we enter Gojo versus Toji. I went through this in my Toji video that flopped to heck, but basically Toji was nerfed in his second fight against Gojo. I don't think he wins anyways, right? Like he literally gets blitzed at the beginning of the fight anyways, but Toji became nerfed at this point when he found out that Gojo is literally the strongest. Like Gojo's over here flying in the air, and he starts getting these glimpses in his mind, these thoughts. He's feeling uneasy, but he's trying to ignore it. No, everything's okay. Die. This uneasiness. And then let's read his dialogue. I don't work for free. That's what I would always say before making a run for it. But now the awakened power of the limitless stands before me. He's probably the greatest sorcerer alive. I wanted to discredit it, to crush it. The pinnacle of the Jujutsu world and the Zenin family. I wanted this self-affirmation, and I deviated from my true self. Remember, I've been saying individualism this entire time. He deviated from his true self, and at that point I already lost. Right? Regardless of him not knowing about Holo Purple, he should have seen this coming because of precognition, right? He should have seen this coming, but he didn't have it. Also, Toji wasn't freaking flying towards him. Like, you know what I'm saying? Toji's over here fighting from a distance, bro. He could have literally just flown towards it, but he couldn't. He didn't have the abilities anymore, right? Individualism. And it's a way to like recontextualize the fight after we find out that like this is the abilities of the heavenly restriction users, right? Another example of like what he's saying here and what I was talking about, bro. He literally says like he wanted to discredit it, to crush it. He wanted to crush the Zenin clan and the pinnacle of the Jujutsu world, and that deviates from his true self. Guys, we literally find out earlier that Toji would have did the exact same thing that Maki's doing here. He would have. Ranta literally says it. Ranta says the current Zenin clan only exists because of Toji. The Zenin clan exists because of Toji. Because if Toji was still bound to his insecurities and his lack of self-affirmation, and it was a word I was thinking of before, but if he was still bound to it, he would have done that, right? He would have done the exact same thing Maki was doing here. And guess what? Maki didn't have the abilities that she has here when she lets go of all of it, when she becomes free, right? Yeah, it's just very interesting that like it completely recontextualizes it. And it's funny because Toji comes back to life and he has zero thoughts. So obviously he has the exact same abilities as when he was in his prime. Also, it says when he was in his prime as well, but whatever. And you see that Toji, this is the picture of Toji, because this was Toji completely like he was just a puppet of carnage, no thoughts in his mind, you know, just taking over, right? So yeah, that was a great example I just thought of off the top of my head. And the third example, which is the biggest example that I wanted to go over because it goes back to Gojo and Sukuna again, but it was what I talked about last video about Gojo not being an all-seeing God, all right? All-knowing God. Gojo, Yuji, Kusakabe, and the reader all have the exact same thought process. Gojo has gained output for reverse curse technique thanks to Black Flash, while Sukuna can't heal rapidly, lost Mahoraga, and has sustained enough damage that he can't even fight empty-handed with amplification. Another translation, which is way better than that one, but it's basically the same. It's basically the same thing, but we'll go through the other translation. Is Gojo who regained his reverse curse technique output through Black Flashes versus Sukuna with slowed healing, no Mahoraga, and an inability to do a lick of damage without amplification. This is everybody's thought process, and Gojo is part of that. And, you know, outside of it literally just being told to us, right, which is, again, it kind of goes against what I'm talking about, but something else that goes into it is the fact that Gege set a precedent for this thought process for Gojo specifically. He set a precedent in the fight. Earlier in the fight, Mahoraga, what? Mahoraga or Sukuna? What sentence am I going for, bro? Let's go for this. Earlier in the fight, Sukuna uses Mahoraga in Unlimited Void, and he breaks the domain literally instantly, right? And Gojo's like confused. He's like, how the hell did he adapt already? Right? He's confused. And so he finds out like it's Megumi who did it, right? And so Sukuna's like, oh, no, yada yada, I was planning for this, yada 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 yada. And then Gojo says in response, which is very human, very obvious, very like, you know what I'm saying? It's clear that's the reason. I mean, it's a clear assumption or conclusion to come to. Gojo says all he took on was a process of adaptation and not the resultant adaptation, right? Sukuna, you haven't actually adapted Megumi's soul itself to Unlimited Void. If I open my domain again, Mahoraga won't be able to bail you out. This is Gojo just playing, like, he's ignoring the possibility for Sukuna himself to have the adaptation, right? But also he's saying like Sukuna's the one that's gonna bail Sukuna. Mahoraga's the one that's gonna bail Sukuna out, right? And that's the conclusion the entire time as well. Sukuna's trying to adapt to Mahoraga. What's that? Oh, a package just delivered. Yeah. This entire time it's like a ticking time bomb. Oh yeah, Sukuna's trying to adapt for Mahoraga, right? It's never, oh yeah, Sukuna's trying to adapt so he can get himself an adaptation. Because that's unprecedented. No one has looked at an adaptation and just taken it from him. Right? You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? And I just thought of this. I literally just thought of this. Like, that's crazy. 234. Wow, I really just realized this. Sukuna, I said this last video. Sukuna is the only one who knows that he has a way to get through infinity. No one else knows that. Everybody else thinks that he has an inability to do a lick of damage without amplification. Sukuna's the only one who knows he has a way to get through infinity. Right? And Gege masterfully put it into the story because Sukuna's thinking about this, but he's also thinking about it in the shadows. He's planning it. It's really like indicative of what's going on. Show me what you can do. Mahoraga, how long do you expect me to wait? This isn't what I want to see. Show me what you can do. Right? And so after and wow, this is beautiful, bro. Look. Sukuna comes out of the shadows not because of this, not because Gojo got his arm cut off. Everybody thinks that is, right? And maybe that is one of the reasons he comes out, right? It seems like Sukuna comes out of his shadow because it looks like Sukuna comes out of his shadow because Gojo is hurt, right? He's hurt and they have to pile on. But Sukuna comes out because now he has a way to get through infinity. He's finally found what it is. He's in the shadows to wait and see Mahoraga do something. He's waiting for the adaptation he's looking for. The one that he can copy himself. I just thought of another thing as well. Sukuna even says, like, bro, Mahoraga starts off with an adaptation that he cannot copy. What does he say? The first time that Mahoraga adapted to your infinity, it transmuted its own curse energy in order to neutralize and nullify your infinity. That was something I could not do, so I waited. I waited until I could obtain an adaptation that would match. Why did lightning translate it like that, bro? That's such a weird way to... Whatever, anyways. Basically, he's saying he was waiting for an adaptation that he could use. And he found it. Right? Because again, like, bro, right, JJK keeps, like, putting it into the story, putting it into your head that, like, bro, it's unprecedented for someone to see an adaptation and just do it himself. Mahoraga is the only one who's supposed to be doing that. Mahoraga, literally, the first time he does it, 232, this one right here. No, what the hell? I didn't open it up. The first time Mahoraga adapts to infinity, 232, he freaking turns his... He does it in a completely different way that no one else can do. He goes through infinity and slashes him. No one else can do that. So obviously, like, bro, you know what I mean? Obviously, to everyone in the verse, you can't copy a Mahoraga adaptation. And Sukuna was like, I'm just going to continue waiting. I'm going to continue waiting until I find something that I can use. And Mahoraga sent it. It's set in stone. It's really drilled into it. And I really love that. I was realizing it as we continue doing it. You know what I mean? It's really nice. I love it, bro. I'm sorry. You know, I'm going to make that binding valve video because, you know, I don't think binding valves are as crap as people think they are. But man, yeah, that's Gege. You move me, bro. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'll catch you on the next one, man.